Welcome back. Let's implement more routes into our front-end app. We've just done the sign-in on the front end. So now let's also work on the register. And we already have a nice framework of what we want to do based on what we did with sign-in. We can again convert this to a class that extends React.component. And this will render this return statement and we also want to have a couple of routes that for now we're just going to completely copy from sign-in. And here we'll just have, for registration, we can say email, password, and then finally also name. And we'll have to add another method here that will be just for the name. And this will be called on name change. And we'll have to change the values to name, email, and password. Awesome. We'll save that and we'll have to actually start adding these to our component. The first thing we want to do is we want to use destructuring to get our component or our on route change from this .props. And let's add on password change on all the other inputs. Again, creating these on a new line. Woo! All right. And again, we want to create a fetch method here. So looking at sign in, we definitely want to do a post. So we can just copy this for now. Again, not a big fan of copying and repetition of code, but I hope this gives you an idea of some of the things we can improve on as we improve our app later on. Now on submit sign in, again, we will want to do this instead of the on route change. So let's do on, and we'll have to do this dot on submit sign in, and I forgot this keyword in all of these as well. All right. Now I see that we're missing the email from here. That shouldn't be there. All right. And we will want to make sure we send the email to this .state.email. We'll do password. And finally, we'll do this .state.name. And on route change, we don't need it over here anymore, do we? On route change, we want to go to home once we're registered. But remember, if we go to our server, our register returns the last user, so our current user. This data will be the user. So let's just say user. So if we get a user back, we will route change to home. And we also probably want to update the user profile on the front end. But if you look at the front end, we don't have a user profile yet, but maybe we should. So let's add that. I'm going to say user, and it's going to be an object that contains email, which is an empty string. And we can just copy whatever we get returned from our database. In our case, it'll be all these values. We don't need the email because we have it down there, except everything will be empty to start off. And we don't need to return the password. So email is removed. Entries will be 0 for now, and joined will just be an empty string. Ideally, when we register, we can update these. So what we can do with register is that we will have a route change, but perhaps also call a function called update user or load user, which we don't have yet. And we can perhaps pass the user object to this. And because this is something that the entire app needs, I think we should build it in the app component. So we'll say this .props .load user, and we'll go back to app.js and create that function. We'll say load user, and it will just update the state with the user that we received. In our case, it'll be these values. And all these values will come from the user parameter. And let's just change the name here just so we don't get confused to data for now. Data.id. We'll have name here. We'll have email. Entries. And then finally, joined. Oh, and I have the syntax here a little bit off. There you go. All right, if we go back to register, we have on route change, saved successfully. So we're loading the user and then also changing the route. That was a lot of work without testing the code, so let's check it out. Let's see if this works. I'm going to go to register. I doubt this works the first time, but let's see. wes@gmail.com. Oh, that's the name. So we'll say wes@gmail.com, and password is 123. I'm going to open up the console here just to see what kind of errors we get. I doubt that it works the first time, but we'll see. Register. All right, we have a couple of errors here. Load user is not a function. And that is because if we go to app.js, load user is never passed into register. So let's do that. Register will also receive load user like this. And it'll have to be this .load user. All right, round 2. Let's see if this works. One, two, three. All right, we're able to sign in, but we have a bad request. Let's see. Our information looks good, email, name, password. And the response we got was error logging in. And that's because if we go back to our register page, well, we didn't change this to register, did we? That's silly of us. We changed that to register, save. I'm gonna get tired of writing Wes's information here. And register. All right, no errors. Let's see what the response was of register. We get the response. Wes is user125, password is 123, entries is 0, and joined on this day. Again, we don't really want the password. We shouldn't really be returning the password, but that's an easy fix. We just simply remove it from the server.js. How cool is that? We have ourselves a registration. And if we actually go back to just a root route, or if we go to localhost, let's go on this side over here, and just go to the root route, we refreshed again, so Wes is not there, but if we register again, this is exactly why we cannot wait to have a database. Let's try that again. And look at that. We have Wes as our user. Very cool. And now there's a bit of repetition, right? We just pretty much fetch in order to connect with our server, and both parties want to make sure that they send the right data and the server responds with the right data. There's definitely a lot of cleanup that we can do, a lot of errors that can happen. For example, if I entered a invalid email and password or username. But I think you're starting to get the point. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.